দর্শক আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি চ্যানেল 24 এর নিয়মিত আয়োজন মুখোমুখিতে। মুখোমুখিতে প্রতি পর্বে আমাদের সাথে একজন বিশেষ অতিথি থাকে। এ পর্বেও আছে, আমাদের সাথে আছেন জন গুডউইন। ওয়েলকাম টু দ্য শো, দ্য সিইও অফ লেগো ফাউন্ডেশন। It's very interesting job you have because you're teaching the kids by play they will learn.
Yes,
It's not something serious.
Oh, it's very serious. Play is a very serious business. It's the way, some people say play is the work of children, and it's the best way in which children can learn. So what we're focused on in Lego Foundation is redefining societal's view on play and reimagining learning, because we feel that in many parts of society there's this perception that play is something that's done when the important stuff is completed. But for children, play is absolutely essential for their neurological development. So we want to redefine play and reimagine learning so that people view the learning experience of children much more from a child-centered point of view, and understanding how their brain's developing, and then ensuring that the learning processes, or what we call education, is geared towards that neurological development. So that's what we're focused on in the.
And when did the foundation realize that we should start new way of teaching kids, or kids should start new way of learning things by play? When do you organization have any research or anything?
Yeah, very much so. So the foundation's been in existence since the late 80s, but really it was in 2013 where the decision was made that the foundation really needs to get more serious about communicating the message and the importance of play, because the neurological science had evolved to prove the importance of play in a child's development process, particularly in the early years for children. So in 2013, the board of directors and the then CEO made a commitment to be much more active as a foundation in getting the message out, but also implementing in more places around the world.
Right. Apart from Bangladesh, what are the other countries Lego Foundation is working, and how they're working? Because Bangladesh is a different social structure. Maybe if you work in Africa, that's a different social structure. So you have to go for different methodology to kids,
Yes.
teach the kids, and how it's going on.
Yeah, so we have a wide-ranging set of programs and research around the world. We've got 4 countries where we've been really active for a long period of time. Okay. Those are South Africa, Mexico, Ukraine and Denmark. Denmark naturally, because that's where we're based. But the other 3 countries also give us a different context. As you rightly point out, the views of adults, teachers, governments varies in almost every country with regards to how children should be developed. So what we try to do is conduct research and implement programs in different countries around the world to be able to illustrate and prove that no matter what the circumstances, learning through play is the best way for young children in order to develop and learn.
BRAC is a big stakeholder in Bangladesh developing the society, changing the society, and they're also working for the Rohingyas. And you've been to Cox's Bazar. How's things are there going on?
Yeah, well, I have to say I've just come back from Cox's Bazar, and I was absolutely blown away around the impact that the consortium of partners that we have, and that's BRAC, Sesame Workshop, and IRC, our partners down there have done an amazing job at creating environments by which the children are able to work out their trauma through what we call play labs. So these play labs have been implemented. They're effectively safe spaces. They can be separate buildings within the refugee camp, or within the homes of some of the refugees as well. And they're very vibrant, they're very lively, and there's play leaders that are staff there that have been trained in how to deal with children with trauma. And that's the amazing thing about play. Play is an incredibly healing tool. It's a way in which children are able to express themselves and deal with their emotions, and they're able to ultimately talk about the situations and make sense of their situation to transform it into a place where they are free to be able to learn and develop in a more natural setting. So we've conducted research through our partners in Harvard, in Boston, where they've come up with this term called toxic stress, which is what happens in a young child's brain when they're traumatized. And that stress inhibits the development that would naturally take place. And what play enables them to do is to work that stress out of their system in order to get back onto a normal neurological development.
Oh, that's a good thing. On this part of the discussion, we'll go for a break. I'll come back and discuss more. দর্শক, আলোচনার পর্যায়ে একটা বিরতি নিচ্ছি, সাথেই থাকুন, ফিরছি একটু পরে। দর্শক, আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি মুখোমুখিতে আরও একবার। আমাদের সাথে আছে লেগো ফাউন্ডেশনের সিইও। Welcome to the show once again. So, what is the age you are looking at when you ask children to come and play and learn? What is the age, and why this particular age?
Yeah, that's a great question. So within the Lego Foundation, we focus on children from 0 to 12 years of age. That's the age where most of the research has been conducted to show that learning through play is a great way in which children can be engaged and continue their learning journey. It's not to say that it's exclusive to that age, but that's the age that we're focusing on at this point in time. Two periods in our lives as humans when most of the neurological development takes place. 0 to 5 is the first stage, and then there's another stage in teenage years, which is less accurately defined because it depends upon the individual. But if you focus on that 0 to 5 years of age, that's the period in our lives when most development takes place in our brain. So it's really important that children get stimulation throughout that 0 to 5 age period. So in the very younger years, from 0 to 2, that's typically the parent or the primary caregiver that is the best place to give that care. So there's many activities that can be done between parent and child in order to stimulate them. So what we've done is we've developed, or through research, the characteristics of a good play engagement with children at different ages, and that's what BRAC does such a great job at implementing through their play labs in order to give children that full range of experiences to develop the skills they need for the future.
Right. I want to hear about your experience of Uganda and Tanzania. Do you mind sharing? How was that? I mean, how things are working there?
Have worked with BRAC in terms of the development of their play lab concept, which I mentioned earlier, which is now being applied in the humanitarian setting in the Rohingya camp. But first off, we started in Bangladesh, and then BRAC also took the concept to Tanzania and Uganda to see whether or not the same concept can apply in different locations. What we found is that children love to play in every environment. In fact, I can say that in all the countries that the Lego Foundation supported, we never yet found a country where children don't love playing and learning through playing. But nonetheless, there's unique cultural differences that make that play relevance important for those specific children. So what we found is the Bangladesh play labs are very colourful, very bright, very creative. When we go to the Uganda and Tanzania, they're much more noisy. They like to sing a lot more. It's more cultural that young children sing.
It's more like party.
Well, parties are different, depending depending on the
singing,
culture.
Dancing and stuff like that.
So what we've had to do is adapt the play lab concept to that particular environment and incorporate a lot more singing because it's more relevant in the culture. And then if I fast forward to what I just experienced in Cox's Bazar with the Rohingya, their play has quite a lot of physical element to it, where they do a lot of play in pairs, but they do a lot of physical activity. So again, BRAC's done a wonderful job at listening to what is the relevant play for that particular culture and then incorporating that into the play lab agenda.
Yeah, and it's something great that your organization is doing, but what is the challenge do you think might be something big in coming days? Because it's not easy to convince every government or every
No.
stakeholder.
No, not at all.
And some people might feel that they're losing their job because Lego Foundation is trying to teach. That's scary feelings. So,
Yeah.
what are the challenges you're thinking of in the incoming future you're going to face?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important to say that our intention is always to systemically reach children with learning through play. So that means that we want to work through government systems. So we're not looking to displace the government education system. What we're looking to do is work with the government to enhance it. What we believe now is that we need people to be much more adaptive, much more responsive, and being able to continually learn, because we're no longer, thankfully in most countries, with a life expectancy of 50 years, but more 75 to 100 years. So we all need to embrace the fact that we'll be learning for a long time beyond our first, say, 18 years of our lives. So what we want to do is ensure that children are given the strong foundation in the younger years, and that is what learning through play is so effective at doing. So it's not a sprint. It's not about learning to read, learning to write, and sitting down and learning facts as quickly as possible. It's more about ensuring that children have a real thirst and passion for learning and an energy for learning in order to keep them vibrant and keep them interested in developing.
And keep them creative.
Absolutely. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, on this part of discussion, we'll take another break. We'll come back. দর্শক, আমরা আলোচনায় আরেকটা বিরতি নিচ্ছি, সাথেই থাকুন, ফিরছি একটু পর। দর্শক, আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি মুখোমুখিতে আরও একবার। আমাদের সাথে আছে লেগো ফাউন্ডেশনের সিইও জন। So, welcome to the show once again. To do this job accordingly, what you have planned, you need huge amount of money, and how you're arranging that and how you're distributing that. And are you distributing in the basis of the net of different countries and different environment? Or do you have planned that this year they will get this amount of money and then the next year that amount of money?
Yeah, so the Lego Foundation owns 25% of the Lego Group. The Lego Group is an amazing company that generates play materials for children all around the world, and it's very successful. So as a consequence of that, we have a regular stream of funding coming into the foundation that enables us to then give that back to the world's children through helping to develop programs for systemically reaching them with learning through play. So that's how we're funded from an activity point of view. And what we're trying to do is really figure out what are the keys to unlocking societal's view to learning through play, to be able to then equip all children with access to that, whether that be through schools or play centres in communities, or whether it be in the homes. So that's where we're developing research and program implementations in different countries around the world, which will give us then the evidence to be able to then go to governments and parents in order to advocate for the change that we think is needed.
And my last question, what is the main purpose of your visit? I mean, who are the people you're going to see, and what are the meetings you're looking at? What you want to really imagine of the outcomes?
So this visit, I came here to go and see the situation at Cox's Bazar with the Rohingya crisis, because we announced back at the end of 2018 a $100 million grant towards Sesame, BRAC, and IRC and NYU. So a research partner, 2 implementation partners, and Sesame, who's the overall coordinator. And that grant was to provide early childhood development for children that find themselves in crisis settings. As I mentioned earlier, there's very strong research to show that learning through play is a great way in which children are able to work the trauma out of their system and get themselves learning ready for the future. So we were convinced that through the great work that Sesame and BRAC do, that through that combination, if we put that into the humanitarian setting, it will be transformative for those children. So we announced that back in the end of 2018. It's a 5-year program, and this has been my first opportunity to go and see how we're doing there. and it's been absolutely fantastic, and I've come away even more convinced around the power of learning through play and the amazing impact it can have on all children, both those in normal settings but also those in crisis settings.
Anyways, thank you so much for attending the show. I hope it was great. And it was really, I'm really looking forward. It goes all around, all the world.
Okay, super. Thank you.
দর্শক, আমরা শেষ করছি মুখোমুখি। আপনার শিশুটি যদি খেলতে খেলতে শিখে, তাহলেই সে মনে রাখবে, তাহলে তার মেধার বিকাশ হবে। দেখা হবে মুখোমুখি অন্য কোনো পর্বে।